we go into the Black community and we have recruited people out of that community to actually address these problems. So we have, right now we have about 50 volunteers, and these people are willing to look at a different way of life. And then what we are hoping to do is then deploy these people into the community so that they can continue spreading this message. You know, I think where this message should be coming from is not the government, but is the church. And I think that the church has really fallen down on the job. We have, we have allowed all of this to go on without ever saying, you know what, let's stop. You know, we started celebrating unwed births. And I'm not saying that people don't, make mistakes and that a child that's born out of wedlock is any less than any other child. But we should be hearing about morality and virtue from the church, and we are not hearing that at all. They've really fallen down on their job.
Honestly, I voted for Obama the first term, and 6 months after that, man, I fell on my knees before God and I cried and I wept for about 2 days. I felt so sick. I felt sick. And then I began to see how he was. He was a charlatan. He was an evil one, and he was going to bring this agenda upon us. And I asked God to forgive me, and God forgave me for voting with that man and voting with the Democrat Party. And ever since then, I've been really warning Christians, telling people that you cannot be a Christian and be a Democrat. Everything that is about Democrats is anti-humanity, anti-God, anti-Bible. When they say prayers with a man and a woman at the end, when they want to turn your son into a girl as early as 8 years old without your permission, these people are very demonic. And I believe I have a mission. Football was a great passion for me. I loved it. I bench pressed 465 pounds at 19 years old at Arizona State. I still hold that record to this day. Football was a great passion for me. But this right here, running for U.S. Congress and getting there and be a policymaker, is a mission for me from God, I feel.
Anybody that can watch that video of Philadelphia and see 7 kids stalking a 73-year-old man at 3 a.m. and not go, hey, what is going on here? But we don't even have to ask that question. We know exactly what's going on here. These kids are unsupervised. They have some public defender because 2 of these kids, a 10 and a 14-year-old brother, turned themselves into police yesterday. And their public defender or lawyer or whoever came out with some statement. And look, I'm sure well-intentioned. I don't even want to demonize the lawyer, but it was just a stupid statement. These are normal kids. Don't you remember sneaking out of the house when you were a kid? 10 years old at 3 a.m.? I remember sneaking out at 6 p.m. I remember not being home when the street lights came on, but 3 a.m.? Who goes out in the streets at 3 a.m.? Even as an adult, I tried to be home before 3 a.m. What did the Republican establishment do to you in the last 5 days?
But y'all saw Sean Hannity and the rest of them lying on me. They lied. That's what they did. Again, right? So I'm running against people, my other 2 primary opponents. They spent over $60 million. I spent less than $2 million. I had 3 full-time people on my team and a whole lot of volunteers, grassroots volunteers all across the state. And we were working. I mean, I was on the campaign trail for 13 months. I was doing over 1,500 miles every single week, beating the pavement, understanding who the people were. And long before that last week of the campaign, I was in a statistical tie for first place for over 4 weeks. So it was over 5 weeks where I was in a 3-way statistical tie for first place. How does that happen?
LeBron James is exactly who he's supposed to be. But he needs some self-awareness that that's who he is. He's not a public intellectual. The shop, they should keep the S and the H and replace the O and the P with an I and a T, because that's what it is. It's a shit show for idiots to sit around and pretend like they're saying something important. LeBron James is the modern day Jethro Bodine. Years ago, Nike discovered an unlimited supply of athleticism buried in the womb of a single mother in Akron, Ohio. LeBron is the Beverly Hillbilly. Come and listen to my story about a man named LeBron. A big dumb jock barely kept his panties on. And then one day he was shooting at a hoop, and up through the court come a China-loving dude. A victim, that is. Black gold, race bait tea.
Right, so now with that letter, Brittney Griner's Lee Greenwood, proud to be an American. The irony of that. Here's the issue with a lot of these people, especially the females. And this goes beyond race. But a lot of the females that are wagging the finger at all Americans and specifically men, saying, if you don't care about Brittney, you caused this, and that, and you're racist and you're prejudiced, and we must be protected. You know, my counterpunch would be this. If you women who constitute about half of the American populace, if you actually supported the NBA, maybe Brittney Griner never had to go to Russia. How about that? This goes both ways. I'm sorry. Look, I actually do feel bad for Brittney Griner on a human level. Nobody should go through that. But again, multiple things can be true. She broke the law.
She would be forced to use this content as some sort of social justice tool to say that she's being sexualized all the time. So I said, you know what? You're going to complain about sexualization. Why don't I sexualize a little bit? And she fell right into my trap, Jason.
Listen, Alex, I gotta be honest. I do think she looked really good in that dress. I don't think you were lying.
Fine. Jason, she looked like a 10. And, even though, they say, oh, well, she's not pretty because her politics are terrible. Well, let me just say, put her politics aside. She looked fabulous. She had the miniskirt on. But this is the biggest thing about it. Jason, that was her fiancé that was with her. He didn't say a word. So talk about a really strong man. Yeah, that was her fiancé, the guy in the red hair. He didn't say a word, Jason.
Oh, my God. She came after you, but him being a beta male, he did nothing. You get what you asked for, AOC. Here's what I found.
Well, I just want to say she wears the thong in the relationship. She wears the thong, not him. You know what I mean?
Lamar Jackson lives in that protective bubble that Cam Newton lived in, where people were afraid to criticize Cam Newton out of fear of being called racist. And that bubble that's there allegedly to protect Lamar Jackson could potentially cripple Lamar Jackson the same way it crippled Cam Newton. We throw a pity party for black people and black quarterbacks. And pity doesn't pay any bills. We die by pity. They're going to kill Lamar Jackson with pity and excuses.
But let's turn people against one another by creating what we'll call power structures or hegemonies. And so I oppress you because I'm white and you're black. You oppress a woman because you're a man and she's a woman. The two of us oppress non-heterosexuals because we are heterosexuals, and so it goes. So it just keeps breaking society down in this way. Well, the way they arrive at the rape narrative here and what is driving the Me Too movement is this idea. It's the idea that men in power, so to speak, cannot have consensual relationships with women not in power. So you, Jason, you're a very powerful man. There you are, at Blaze TV with your own TV show, and you're rich and you're powerful. No woman, unless she's on the same level as you, can have a consensual relationship with Jason Whitlock. Well, this is ridiculous, but this is what they do.
The problem is, Jason, that many of our men have been so feminized that they are falling victim to the same deception. So they don't have the strength, the testicular fortitude to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to let my son wear a dress. I'm sorry, you may be his mother and my wife, but that's not happening in this household. Most guys can't say that because they've spent the last generation being terrified by women. Most men are much more afraid of the woman they laid next to at night than the guy who's walking towards them on the street corner. With that guy on the street coming towards them, they may raise the fist, they may defend themselves, but when their wife or their girlfriend or whoever says, you should do this, right? I want to let our daughter wear juicy across her backside on the little booty shorts, most guys are not going to raise a voice in opposition because they don't want to be seen as bad people.